What do you think you're doing? You can't be here.
Terrifier 3 is undoubtedly the best Terrifier movie. Does that mean it's completely perfect? Hell no. It has flaws, as all movies do, but its status as the highest grossing non-rated movie is well deserved. What I love about this franchise that is so uncommon is how it handles its notably violent tone. Some say it's overdone in all the movie is, others love it just for that reason, and the way I see it, both those mindsets are insane. I've never loved something solely for blood and gore, and to those so-called horror fanatics who still don't like Terrifier, what do you like? Yeah, it's intentionally brutal, that's a given, but practical effects, impressive sound and visuals, shock value, and emotional magnitude leads me to believe those who don't like it are dead set on not liking it. Granted, the first movie wasn't that good, part 2 was problematic, way too long, pacing issues, infamous scene ruined by subpar acting, and a lot of questions left unanswered. As for the first 3, fixed, clear-cut. Pacing is a lot tighter, no bad acting to be found. In fact, the leads are phenomenal. And as for the unanswered questions, let's just say the overall narrative is moved along. We'll get back to that. It can't be denied that Damien Leone is a director that actually listens to the fans. That was apparent with Terrifier 2 despite the flaws. And upon seeing that level of quality continued, something that can't be said about another clown movie, I'm just happy the right movie had the deserving outcome. All that said, it's still not perfect. The plot set during Christmas this time sees Sienna and her brother Jonathan trying to move on with the help of the Christmas season. But Art the Clown is back, and you know what they say, old habits die hard. Carnage ensues, and so do a bit of narrative issues. I'm not calling it bad pacing, but you could get a misconception of what the movie is. Again, not a big deal, and the opening, well,
There ain't never been nothing quite like this.
it's one of those emotional, controversial, brutal, tragic, extremely effective scenes. Not really sure how much of this is allowed to be on YouTube. Don't think one happy cam montage is gonna cut it. But let's just say it's a little intense.
Juliet, I told you to stay out of my room.
So before anybody says anything, Leone did say depicting a child's death is one line he wouldn't cross, as in showing it. But he also said art making an exception for kids wouldn't make any sense. For that reason, I don't take any issue with it, and for those who do, well, I don't know, don't watch it. The husband goes next, the mom does in fact see her son's remains, and the suspenseful escape attempt, the somewhat drawn-out execution, it's one hell of an opening scene. It's also the second time we see a mother witness her mutilated child, but this time it's way more effective. This is what I meant by emotional deaths. You can't deny the effect, and David Howard Thornton, again as Art the Clown, is just so damn good. This comes down to his expressions, his movement. You can't tell me you're not impressed.
Calm down. I'll fucking kill it.
However, I guess you could argue the pacing in the next few scenes is problematic, but then again, it kind of isn't. We go back to the end of the second movie, as Art's head is being reborn by Victoria Hayes, now possessed by the little pale girl, and Chris Jericho has his pointless cameo. I get that he was a fan, but he kind of just dies immediately. Not even a memorable death, so I don't know. I guess if you don't like him, you'll enjoy this. But if there is one thing I don't prefer about this movie, it's Victoria Hayes. The pale girl was much creepier. Maybe he wanted somebody who would speak, but she mostly just makes lewd comments. I wouldn't call her a bad villain, but heavily overshadowed by Art. I get the feeling they're only doing this to make the first movie kind of relevant, which in my opinion it still isn't. The fact that it's her doesn't affect anything, but still I wouldn't call it an issue. Back in the present, we see somebody who looks dead to me, and Sienna, again played by LaVera. She's been in and out of mental hospitals the last 5 years, living with her Aunt Jess and husband Greg, played by Margaret Anna Florence and Bryce Johnson, and her cousin Gabby, played by Angelina Rose, apparently idolizes her.
And don't pull her arm out.
You can make the connection of how these events came to be, result of the last movie, but I guess you could say a lot happens off screen. I don't think it's an issue, it wouldn't have been that eventful, but having a new character who was real close is a bit less effective if you don't know till now. But let's face it, that can't be helped. As for the pacing, it cuts between her settling in, a bit of character building, and a couple of very unlucky workers.
Ain't never been nothing quite like this.
While one gets a relatively tame death, the other gets nailed to the floor, a finger bitten off, and a handy box cutter opening his head. At the same time, Victoria gets off to this with a knife. You can figure out where, and it's another brutal, over-the-top, fantastic scene. Disturbing as hell and what you came to see, but I do like how when this kind of thing isn't happening, the movie seems kind of normal. What I mean is, some movies have a dark tone, especially with this much violence. But in this case, you could easily start at a random point and not expect anything this intense. It's a unique atmosphere, and it makes the franchise stand out. What I meant earlier by problematic pacing is, you may think the movie was just violence, death, and nothing else. That's not what it is, but it could set that impression. We get a flashback to Sienna's father, played by Jason Patric, and some insight to what the angel costume was about, primarily the magic sword that can't harm her. That explains a few things, and that he drew it as she wanted to see a female hero. Unfortunately, the slasher movie fanatics will probably complain, as we don't get much backstory aside from this. But I do believe the next movie, and the movie after that, if there is one, will inevitably give us what we want. If not, I will call that out. I'm not going to defend that, but I feel they have a big picture in mind, and I'm okay with that. They're clearly devoted, so I'm going to wait till it's done to pass any defining judgment.
Can't you defeat Blaster Man?
Oh, yeah. 10 Blaster Men.
Now hold on. Nobody beats Blaster Man. You could also complain about the opening scenes not being that eventful, which people have, but I don't agree. They develop characters, get into the backstory, and provide some of the franchise's finest kills. I get the feeling some people have it in for this franchise, but at this point, I don't get that. The pacing is better, the violence is debatably more disturbing, definitely better acted, and something that I noticed is the kills themselves tend to be darker or comedic depending on what's needed. This is depicted in one of my favorite scenes. Art supposedly befriends a Santa Claus, and it's just hilarious.
Yes, that's me. That's me, guilty as charged.
I like how him explaining the beard is clearly a mistake, and when things go terribly wrong, it's honestly pretty tame. I think in each movie somebody has to get the painless headshot, but Santa does not have a fun death involving liquid nitrogen and a hammer, but it's definitely more on the comedic side. Also comedic is this.
You remind me so much of Mom. Before Dad died, she was the sweetest person.
No.
What are you, fucking stupid? So it just spontaneously combusted out of thin air?
You mean I still have to go?
What did I say? And staying up till 4 o'clock in the fucking morning doing God only knows what.
I miss her.
I get that her husband died, but no, the fact that she got the headshot death is insane. And insulting. I suppose I have to mention her little brother Jonathan, again played by Elliott Fullam, who doesn't contribute that much. I hate to say it because he's supposed to be a main character, but he's almost not even needed. I mean, they go Christmas shopping for him, so that's something.
I don't think Jonathan is really into black anymore.
Mr. Death Metal?
Just the phase, I guess.
No, I'm not coming to Christmas dinner, Mom, as you can see by my black attire. But still like the video, okay, and subscribe if you're enjoying. Yeah, fuck you, Mom. Also, sharing the video is really a big thing, and I'm not just saying that as a cliche, YouTube literally doesn't do that now. So, if you can, please do so. And for the gaming fans out there, I have a channel for that, link in the description. Upon hearing the Clown Cafe music, a nice touch, she finally sees Art in his Santa attire. But like I said, Jonathan is useless and he doesn't want to believe it.
You cut his fucking head off.
And before that, you shot him with a shotgun after she stabbed him in the skull. What's so complicated about this? I get he was also heavily affected, but I do question what the overall narrative is here. It's unclear what even her aunt thinks. Obviously the clown was real and bad things did happen, but I guess they only believe the non-supernatural bits. Apparently some people actually think she killed everybody.
Jonathan Shaw hadn't testified on his sister's behalf, she'd probably be serving a life sentence right now.
You shouldn't be saying that shit.
That really makes no sense. And I do take issue with the fact that the clown's been killed multiple times, somehow comes back to life, appears in broad daylight, and somehow nobody notices. I could see in the second movie, but now it doesn't add up. It is a horror movie, I know it can't be avoided, but you'd think he'd at least wash the blood off his hands. How does that go unnoticed? Granted, at the mall, the kids run up without the parents' consent, so that kind of explains it. Another real fun scene that ends with child fatalities, and Sienna says she must go back to the Terrifier, I see what they did there, to get the magic sword. Could have just hung on to that. She does this off-screen, oddly enough, and hides it in a wrap box. I don't mind it being off-screen, it wouldn't have added that much, but I do wish they'd quit hinting at or showing us big types of purties that never lead anywhere. For whatever reason, the only time Art ever ranks up a huge body count is in a dream, but that's not that big of a deal. I mean, he's known for his slow, torture-based kills anyway, and an obnoxious YouTuber and dickish boyfriend are good candidates for that. The fact that he washes his hands first is kind of funny. And then... the already iconic chainsaw kill is the best chainsaw kill in probably any movie. Chainsaw going right up the ass, and you really gotta love how they keep it clean. No real nudity to be found, nothing to drive the rating up. Obviously, once the body's in half, you can see a diced up penis, and a nice blood angel to finish it off, along with a pretty catchy tune. On a journey to outdo himself and top his latest. So upon seeing the mall explosion on the news, it becomes all too apparent that Art is in the vicinity, and like I said, they don't just leave because nobody notices the bloodstained clown, even though they clearly did. So instead they tell Sienna to go to sleep. Personally, I would say no to that, but again, LaVera's acting is real believable. As mentioned in the Well video, I think she's highly underrated, and this movie may be the best showcase yet. It is put off a bit by dumb decisions like this, but all horror movies have those, so that means it's time for the big lengthy climax, and I'll tell ya, it's pretty damn good. Going to sleep was not a good idea, Greg is good and dead, being used as a decoration, and we have the one stunt LaVera couldn't do herself. Yeah, she is a stunt actress, but you know, break something, that's a delay. So at this point, you may be wondering, what is the scene that tops the second movie? The scene that even disturbed David Howard Thornton, I would assume is this. First off, we're shown a mutilated severed head, that's supposedly Gabby. I immediately knew that wasn't true, but they believe it, and we have the rat scene. So let's put this into context. You're looking at your kid's mutilated head, a tube is shoved down your throat, further than it should be, and rats are sent down the tube. Think about that. This is not meant to be funny in any way, it's dark as shit, and it is my new favorite kill. It was originally the hacksaw scene from the OG, but that doesn't have the same impact. It was dark, extremely disturbing, but not as effective as this. This is somebody you might actually care about, a non-abusive mother, and given it's near the end, it's outright cruel. To top it all off, it was apparently meant to be even worse. Opposed to cutting her throat to let the rats out, it may have gone deeper to like the stomach or something, but still the effect is all the same. It's easily the best Terrifier kill, and one of the best horror movie kills period. I don't know how you dispute that. However, there is one thing about the scene I don't like, and it may be the biggest flaw in the movie. Upon the obvious reveal that Gabby isn't dead, they tell us the skull belongs to Jonathan.
Don't bullshit me, Carl! Yeah, don't bullshit him, Carl!
Okay, so no matter how you look at this, I'm not a big fan. Personally, I don't think he's dead. I don't know why you'd kill a main character off screen, but if that's the case, then it's the same fake out twice. If he's dead, that's a dumb idea too. A cheap way to get rid of a main character, so I don't get this. Maybe it'll make sense later, but luckily it's the biggest issue. They're gonna kill Gabby next, as she apparently gives her strength, but...
I'm sorry I didn't get to open my present.
That's not fair.
Yes, it's the old bad guys won, but let's let them have their last request, or something. Obviously, Gabby knows the sword is in there as she opened it. He does break her hands to avoid an escape, but it's still a magic sword, so they're screwed, and Victoria is decapitated. This leads into a truly epic final battle, magic sword versus chainsaw. So many great details, Art's facial expressions, being pushed into Greg's open body, having to bite through the intestines, it's simply not holding back. I guess by now you got the gist. Unfortunately, Gabby is kind of stupid, and Victoria's dead body opens a portal to hell, because, so even though Sienna is victorious, she must try and save her, which she fails to do, and Art gets away. So, complete cliffhanger. Everybody is supposedly dead, or at least in hell, but she vows she will find her. We end on an Easter egg to what started it all. If you don't know, then shame on you. And Terrifier 3 is the best Terrifier movie. I'll acknowledge it's not perfect, but I don't think the pacing is the reason. Jonathan isn't handled that good. It's hard to make out what people think is going on. Couple issues here and there. Some may wish for a big party massacre, and it is a bit dumb nobody realizes the clown is there. Again, not perfect, but what is good more than makes up for it. Great acting, over-the-top kills, and amazing scenes makes it one of the best slasher movies of all time. That may sound a bit direct, but I feel that's what it is. It's comedic when it needs to be, devastating when that's needed, and it has a vibe that most disturbing movies simply don't have. Not much out there like it. Part 2 was real good, but this is truly amazing. It's not the same thing redone. It does explain a few things, and I believe future movies will expand the narrative. If it doesn't, then that will suck, but simply put, Terrifier 3 is the highest grossing non-rated movie for a reason. It's completely deserved. I'm glad Joker 2 did not have that. And if you haven't seen it and you're not afraid to see it, ignore the supposed slasher movie fanatics and check out this amazing movie. I'm the analyst, and remember kids, nudity is wrong. Unless it's a mutilated body, then it's okay. So, you've made it to the end. That's an impressive feat indeed. Since you managed that, I guess check out the gaming channel, in which I cover a variety of gaming topics, like analysis videos, such as this one. If you're into that, then press the link in the description. It's that simple.